Hi everyone. So welcome back to Symbiosis 3 Meet the Artist session. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday. And I'm really excited to welcome Natalia Achino. She's an amazing artist, calligrapher, and she speaks multiple languages, and she's based in Perth, Australia. She's also the wonderful mentee of Marina Soria, along with Janine and Tatiana. Okay, so we are very excited, and Natalia, please take it away.
Okay. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for this lovely opportunity to be sharing my journey with all of you on a Sunday. And I will start introducing myself. I'm Natalia. I'm 52 years old, and I start sharing my screen. See if you can see it. Okay. Share. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Let's start by talking a little bit about my personal life. This is my family. I've been married for 32 years to this wonderful man, Chris. And we have two amazing daughters. This is Florencia, she's 29, and Antonella, she's 23. And this is our rescue dog, Monty, that is part of the family, and my studio buddy. We live in the beautiful Western Australia in Perth. So it's the most isolated city in the world, if you don't know that. And it's famous for its stunning beaches. Before becoming a calligrapher, that it was only very recently, I started very late in life. I started only 7 years ago. I was a teacher of languages. I taught primary school, high school, language school, and then I started teaching seniors. You can see all my lovely students here. So that occupation made me very creative because there were not enough materials in languages, especially in Italian and Spanish, and I had to create everything from scratch. The books that were available were very outdated. So I created my own worksheets, the language display in primary schools, and a lot of games. Otherwise, the kids, they have a very short attention span and they will get very bored. So that obliged me to be very creative and do some art just to keep the kids very interested and motivated. In 2016, my daughter, she knows I love books, and gave me as a present Gay's Godfrey Nichols' book, Mastering Calligraphy. And that book completely changed my life. I'm reading about it. I found out that Gay lived in Perth, where I was living. So I just started to research where she was teaching, and I enrolled for her last course at TAFE, it's a technical college, where she was teaching beginners italics. And then I studied with her for 5 more years. Gay was, I call her my calligraphy mom, because she taught me not only all the formal scripts, but she introduced me to color, to backgrounds, paste paper, watercolor. Here you can see her in one of our lessons, sharing how to produce one beautiful artwork that was for an exhibition. So I can't thank her enough for being always there, and I'm still learning from her. When she presents workshop and at our Calligraphers Guild of Western Australia. We are a very small community of 30 members, but we work very hard to keep it alive. Let's go to the next slide. Other tutors I studied with have been Gemma Black, Debbie Longfield, she's from Perth, Yoon Hee Lee, Carl Roars, George Angelopoulos, Eve, Rachel, John Stevens, and Ku Shadler that taught me ectempera. And I highlighted pigments and ectempera because those are where my big introductions to art. I really fell in love with pigments and colors and traditional painting techniques like ectempera that I applied in all of my works, like the glazing techniques. Let's go to can you see it? Can you hear me?
Can. We're doing
Okay,
well.
perfect. What an amazing year this has been. In February, I received the invitation from this lovely lady, Dorothy. If you don't know her, Dorothy is the founder of the Art of Letters, and she is the one creating this amazing platform for learning and sharing calligraphy art. And I received her invitation to participate in this mentoring program, and I couldn't say no. That was like a dream come true. This is my mentoring group, and it's led by the wonderful Marina Soria, the patient one. She really is a great artist with many years of experience, a lot of insight in how to give advice. So I only have appreciation for her patience and for her generosity. And I'm together in this journey with Tatiana from Greece and Janine from Melbourne. So at the beginning of our mentoring program, we share a lot of personal life and a lot of exchange a lot of what was going on with our calligraphy. Most of us were a little bit of stuck because we were disappointed in certain ways about our calligraphy journey. We lost a little bit of the enthusiasm. So Marina set up a theme for us to work with that she already have tested in previous mentoring programs. And it was going to be the inner garden as a metaphor of life. So this is a very profound topic. And on our first meetings, we talk a lot about feelings and how to share these emotions through our art and through our calligraphy. So the key points from Marina that the guidelines that we need to follow was we were going to do not perfect lettering or formal script. We're going to do experimental calligraphy and move out of our comfort zones and have fun. Then it was very important for us to show the process, because even like making mistakes, we learn, and there is a lot of meaningful learning on the way. We could choose a variety of approaches for our works. It could be 2D, 3D, or whatever we like. And the most important topic was we should have a journey inside ourselves to discover our feelings, and those feelings, they need to resurface in our works. So we have to be honest and show our emotions. We have limited time to meet. We met on Zoom and sometimes on Teams, mostly on Teams afterwards. And then Marina had a break because she had to go and teach in all of Europe for 3 months. So we have like a little bit of an interrupted. So Marina shared a lot of her professional insight with us. She showed us a lot of examples of her work, a lot of her processes, how she followed all the step-by-step. She provided useful tips and suggestions all the time. I don't know how many motivational quotes to cheer us up and motivate us and inspire us. And every time we had ideas, she would share some inspirational work from other artists as well. So now was time to personalize my work, and I decided to focus my presentation of my inner garden as a metaphor of my life as an artist. And the main aim was to find that inspiration inside me and in nature that I love so much. And I always strive to be unique and authentic. That was very important to me, and as well as to learn along the way. So it wasn't difficult for me to, we should be doing 3 artworks for the exhibition. So it wasn't difficult for me to decide what I was going to do, because I had this strong feeling of I wanted to talk about these topics through my art for a long time. So this seemed like the perfect opportunity. And so I planned my works to be about the art, my life as an artist. So the first one is called A Period of Quiescence, and is I compare it like a hibernation stage, uh, where it is very slow activity through my life as regards creativity, but it doesn't mean I wasn't growing at all. I was really nurturing my character, my values, and my insight into life. My artwork two decided to talk about that moment when I had a calling to do art, and I called it Awakening. And my third artwork could be it was named My Inner Garden, and I wanted to reflect what I feel when I make art. What makes me an artist? Everything that's going on in my mind, and it's not only about that moment when I create. It's a life choice. It's a learning process. It's a life journey, and I wanted so much to share that with you. That part of my art as well. So let's start with the first artwork, A Period of Quiescence. And it was the first version I did. I did 2 versions. And in step 1, I wrote about my own text, about what I was feeling. And it reads like this. Beneath the surface, in ways I couldn't see or imagine, I was being molded, nourished, and prepared, growing the essence of my inner garden. So those feelings and about the hibernation gave me the idea of working with roses, that is my favorite flower, and to work with freezing a rose. So I created an image to convey the meaning of the text by freezing a rose. So I did all the process. This is a very huge, long process, but I put only 3 images to arrive to this beautiful image that is the one that is my work is based. And if you can see the details, all the patterns, if I enlarge those, can you see?
Yes, we can.
Are you listening?
Yes, we can.
We can.
Yes.
I work a lot with my iPad, and when I paint, in order for seeing the details, I just use and blow the images up, and you can see all these amazing patterns in the ice texture that gave me the idea of creating an alphabet. So that's how the process of starting discovering from the ice patterns. This can be an O or an A, it depends how you say it. And that's way I develop my alphabet from the ice textures. And this can have possibilities of variations according to the tool you use, or if you use color or adding weight, limitless possibilities. And the other part was compositional sketches for working with these rows. So I worked a lot of several compositions, and I decided to do the ones that I was seeing in the picture, following the eyes patterns of the image. My first feeling was to use soft pastels because they are very alluring and they have endless possibilities for self-expression. I feel them very close to my heart when I work with soft pastels. So you can see the progress shots here. It's a very large painting. This is a very large easel I was working on. I work with soft pastel paper and started developing the background, but following not the image I was doing it because it wasn't the same. But I created my imagined picture with my feelings, following the movement I wanted to recreate. I added the rose later on, and this is the image completed. And for the lettering and creating the patterns, I wanted to look like eyes. So I work with all these values palette of pastel pencils to create like a 3D lettering design, and it looked really nice. So here you have, oh, sorry, apologies. This is the finished artwork one, the version in soft pastels that I love very much. And it's about that feeling. And it was a release of all those feelings when I finished this painting. And my aim was to combine calligraphy with art. So I'm really very, very fond of this painting. For the second, I wanted to experiment a little bit more for the second artwork. So I called it A Period of Quiescence 2. And I modify a little bit the text, and then I translated it into my languages. We speak 3 languages at home, so I wanted to translate the English version into Italian and Spanish, so the language we speak at home. So this gave me the idea. I wanted to create a perceptual depth. So I decided to work with recycling a perspex I had at home from my paintings. And I work on 3 layers of perspex for each of the text that you can see in the image. I had a lot of fun creating a paper that looks like that really looks like eyes. And this is I'm going to talk about more about this in my experimental paper surface talk that I will give next. But I'm going to highlight a little bit of you can work with different kind of papers. These were serviettes or tissue paper, and according to the tool you use for applying gel medium and gloss medium, you create different textures on the paper. So you can see here when you apply only 1 layer and with a brush, or if you apply it with a credit card, look at the texture is totally different. If you applied it on 1 side, or if you applied it on 2 sides, it's a different texture. And then what about if to the gel medium, I added some watercolor. So these are all the experiments on paper that I realized in order to get a little bit of transparency. Having a lot of fun with this, I decided to go for this image with this experiment, and this is what you see on your right. And this is the paper where I based my surface I decided to work on for my artwork. The next stage is an acrylic surface, so I needed to prepare the surface in some way. So the step 2 was to prepare the surface and do the watercolor painting. I used watercolor ground, transparent watercolor ground, and I did all the painting of the rose and a little bit of the creating that atmospheric icy atmosphere that you have seen on the photo, to convey the feelings I was trying to transmit through my artwork. Then I started at the stage, sorry, going back. I'm doing here. Writing the text on acrylic sheets were not very easy to do. It presented many challenges, especially because I started with acrylic paint and it dries. In Western Australia, we have a very dry climate and it dries very, very, very fast. So in the end, I practiced with several paints until I decided to use gouache, but with gel medium in order to make it permanent. Here you can see the images of all the layers of paint that you have values in order to create, to make it with a texture, like if it were 3D lettering. And you can see the second layer on here. And these are all the stages of the first layer. This was the second layer of acrylic on top. And this was the finished work with all the layers of acrylic. But when we were exchanging feedback with Marina, we decided that the shape of the work wasn't right, the composition wasn't right. So I had to start all over again. And I did. I started with 3 new acrylic sheets of to do the lettering. I worked out another compositional sketch, like it was a golden ratio, but in an egg shape. And then I decided that the rose will be covered with lettering in order not to be the focus point of the work. And you have here the final artwork of a period of quiescent 2, trying to convey all those feelings in 3 languages of all the periods and all that period in my life that was so important for me. Here you have a close-up details of the lettering. And those were the first 2 artworks. And the second one was the moment I decided to do about awakening, when I started to feel in that call to make art. Again, I went to my garden and I love to do a lot of observational light drawing with my roses. And from the roses contour lines and the leaves, you can create I created another alphabet that I use for the 2 next artworks. To the skeleton forms, I started feeling a little bit of the weight with a pointed pen, just to get a feeling of the alphabet of the script I created. And then I knew I was going to work on a wooden panel. So pointed pen and wooden panel, they don't really work together. So that would have to be with pointed brush. So this is, you can see all my testing of pointed brushes to see which one would be the best. And it's not the most expensive one. It's usually the cheapest one, the better. And I decided to go with this Montmartre liner. And again, I wrote my own text because it was dealing about my feelings. So the text reads like this. And then I was embraced with softness, graced with wonder, and gifted new eyes to see beauty. I was awakened. It was the period that was when it always happens that you start with ideas and they don't work out, or you are not happy with the results. I was trying to follow the patterns of the rows with the alphabet, like you can see here, but it didn't work out. Different compositions that I did that were not correct. So I decided to go with this one. And then it came the painting process. When you have a wooden surface, a wooden board, you can't paint directly on the surface. You need to prime it. And I'm going to talk about this preparing surfaces for calligraphy on my next talk. But you prepare them with gesso. And this is the important thing when I learned from Georgia Angelopoulos, and she made me really fall in love with pigments. I created my own acrylic paint from these pigments, a limited palette, and I used titanium white, yellow ochre, pyro red, quinacridone and magenta, ultramarine blue, and raw amber. And with these colors, you can create any kind of color you like. For the painting process, I didn't follow any image or get inspiration in it. I painted from my imagination, the feelings I had about that awakening. And you can see the glazing stage, that there are a lot of layers until I arrived to the second image. So there were more or less 3 layers in here until I arrived here. And you keep adding color until I'm happy with the shapes I get. Here you can see the final image, the finished painting with the background ready for the lettering. And there are so many layers of painting there, the glazing techniques. And I learned that from egg tempera. Adding text. Well, how could you add text to this surface? That was quite difficult. So what you need to do was drawing first with a pastel pencil, that you can see the lines in here. And then I tested a little bit all the values for acrylic wash, and I use white with yellow ochre, so I could use from the the lightest part to the darkest part, all these values with the lettering. And you can see a little bit of a video how I was doing more of a gestural marks. Can you see?
Yes, we can. It's beautiful to see the variation in lines.
Okay, that's the pointed brush. It was a small brush. Oh, video. Okay. Here is the final artwork, Awakening. And you can see some image of the details, how it goes in values from the lightest part to the darkest part in the text. And the last artwork was talking about a little bit about my inner garden. And my aim was to convey my present feelings of what do I feel when I create art, when I make art. And this one has a lot to do with my art and spirituality, on my art as a life journey. I feel that art is anywhere in my life. Since I go for a walk, I start seeing art and creating images and inspiration from when I walk. And then it comes the feelings, and then I have this fire inside that I need really need to paint it. So white calligraphic art. So a lot of inspiration comes from nature. And my approach was, how do I show my soul with all those tiny little boxes inside me that work together at the same time. So I decided to do an art installation, a nice small art installation using recycled materials if possible. And my execution was not very planned, it was very intuitive. And my inspiration came from this cabinet of curiosities of natural collections or herbariums. And I have a book that is called Nature's Palette. And you can see the image that really inspired me. I really love these collections of pigments and objects. I have one myself of shells and feathers I collect from my garden. So I really love collecting things from nature. The first part was to find the materials. So I bought the box to that it is a kitchen box, that it is expandable, and I created some materials that I recycle. This is if you can see, is tissue, cardboard that is the rolls from the paper towels. My husband is always doing things in the house with wood, so I really like gathering all those little bits and pieces for future projects. And I made my own spools for my artwork. I glued them and I painted them, and then I like recycling as well the cheesecloth that I dyed with tea for the props. A lot of preparation went as well on using tea bags. I use a lot of tea bags in my artwork, and I needed to prepare them to be more resistant with gel medium, and as well a little bit of petals. From home, a lot of things that are very dear to me. I'm an old soul, and we collect things in our house that have past histories and stories from I don't know how many people. So I really treasure things that are old. So like this old film and these photo slides, a little pencil that belonged to my grandma, and it reminds me of her, and very vintage key. And then things that are very dear to me as a keepsake, like is the memory of motherhood when I had my first daughter. So here you can see little socks of my first daughter, and the t-shirt and a little shirt from my second daughter. And this is my idea of motherhood. I think it's a very huge part of my life. And then I bought some materials like the little jars and things that I didn't use, like the wooden tags for this project. A lot of time was devoted to surface treatment, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in my second presentation as well. But I like aging my paper because I really love the passage of time and what it means. So here I was staining paper with coffee. Here we have tea bags. I dyed tea bags with black dye, but look at the effect. Some of them are bluish, some of them are brownish. A lot of work went to try to preserve the color of petals, and here my fellow mentee, Janine, helped me with some secret of her tips how to do that. Thank you, Janine. And another paper I created was with the technique of suminagashi, to make the idea of the unconscious, of my unconscious part. Then it came to the lettering, sketching using the alphabet that I developed from the roses contour lines. So I will practicing with different tools, trying to get a feel of what I was going to use, trying different layouts, designs, and then more imitating some oriental forms for my artworks. Here you can see a little bit of the writing. I'm going to play a video to see one of the scrolls about all the places. As I said, I made of all the little fragments of places where I lived and are very important in my life. These are all done on tea bags. I collected stamps, original stamps from each of one of these countries. And finally, home, Australia. We made it home. That's one of the scrolls. There are very little books that I recycle, practice pages from italics and Gothic and other things that I was testing. A little pieces of my handwriting since I was a child. So all the learning that I have been doing all these years and my love for books and learning since I was a child. Another part of the lettering was to show my subconscious, sorry. And this is the part that you can't control. So it is very blurry, and ironically is where all my paintings are dreamt of over here. And a piece I consider my masterpiece that is my family, with a text about my family. And more writing I did on another scroll I will show you later. And this is the dark side of my life, of my soul at the moment, is pain. So I needed to show that as well. And this here you have the darkest scroll talking about pain and how I'm learning to manage it. And a lot of things from nature with things that are very important for my inspiration and for my soul. And this is the finished piece, my inner garden. I will show you a video about that. Can you see?
Yes, we can.
This is a closer look. And that's the final piece. And finally, my last words are about this scroll, this very long scroll, that is about my journey. And I did it all on coffee stain paper. And it reads like this. This is my journey that is evolving along a unique path. This is the process of me growing whole, in the full glory of my passion. I don't know why I keep playing. Come on. And lastly, sorry, this is we arrived to the end of the presentation, and this is my moment of saying thank you to Dorothy for trusting me, inviting me into this exciting journey for me. It has been extremely meaningful and very difficult for me because I've been having a lot of health issues this year. Thank you for Marina really a lot to Marina for her generous dedication to us, dedicating time and resources and a lot of words of encouragement and motivation for making us move out of our comfort zone. That was very important for me. And thank you to my family, especially because without them, I wouldn't be able to make my art and dedicate my time to it. Thank you all for listening to my presentation.
Thank you, Natalia. That was a beautiful, beautiful presentation. And everyone can switch on your videos now. What I would like to do is I would like to invite Marina as well as Janine to perhaps just say a few words about your experience and your journey with Natalia and how it has been, how has the experience been for for all of you? So,
Janine?
I was going to let the mentor go first.
Okay.
I think it's
Marina.
no, I'll talk if you like. So I think it's been a really full year in every sense, and I know Natalia and I share similarities from the health challenges, all of those things, and she's really dug inside, I would say, to find some sort of essence of who she is and to find ways to put that down. And I really think, I would say in the beginning, you probably struggled a little bit to try to actually break away from the cleanness of form. I think we all did probably. So, interesting when you're on to trying to make different forms from the rose petals and we're trying to break away. But I think, your pieces are really lovely, and I find all of the texture of the ice and everything else really intriguing. And I still think that the rose needs to come out of the freezer and go into some frozen display and be part of the exhibition. But congratulations and well done.
Thank you, Janine. Sorry for the IT part that you can't control.
No, that's just life. That happens.
And as for me, I'm very proud of all the work Natalia has done. I think she literally could convey what she wanted to say. She had a message. She wrote that message, and she tried all sorts of things she could think of, and even the things that we suggested, and found her own voice. For me, that is successful. And what I always try to tell all of them is the most important person is you yourself. You have to convince yourself of what you're doing. You don't have to convince anybody else. Eventually, if you find your own inner voice and you have all these techniques and skills to develop that idea, I think the people will see it. There's no way when the language is clear, and I'm not meaning the language literally. It's once again metaphorically speaking. So I think that she successfully achieved her goal. You can see through her art, her her inner person.
Thank you. I'm getting emotional now.
And Natalia, I
What's
just want to, yeah. Natalia, I just wanted to say, I love how you use your own words to convey through all your works. You use your own words, the choice of words, the clarity of that. That's really beautiful. So
Oh,
like,
thank you very
yeah,
much.
I echo what Marina said, like choosing your words, choosing your voice. That's beautiful. Do you have a favorite story or anecdote during the sessions that you like to share with us?
Pardon?
Do you have a favorite story or anecdote that happened during the mentorship that you'd like to share with us?
I really struggle a lot during the mentorship, health-wise, really. It has been the most awful year for me as regard health. But I'm getting emotional. But I found the strength to finish this. I find the strength. Art was my healing.
And sometimes you also said that even with suffering, the moment when you made art was the moment you could forget about your pain. So
Yes.
once again, art was a healing.
Art as healing, yeah.
Mm.
That's the only way of distract. And I thought when I started the mentorship, I was sick, but I didn't know. I thought it was a temporary illness. And then it has become part of my life now. There's no way around it. It will stay. So I have to learn to manage it. And my way is through art, really. That distracts me from the pain.
Mm.
Sorry, I'm emotional all the time. Sorry
You're
about
very Latin. We are all Latin.
that. Very passionate about that. I just, this is my wicked point. I wish I could change this, but there are things in life that you have to accept because life is that. All the good and bad, and you have to accept it as it is. So
That's your strongest point.
Mm.
Yeah, that's your strongest point, being emotional. You wouldn't want to be
Yeah.
not feeling it.
yes, I now I feel better. Okay.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah. And then could I also invite Gail to just pop in and say a few words? Because you mentioned just now before we started that she's an important influence, that she brought you to the path of calligraphy. So could I briefly invite Gail to just say a few words? Hey Gail, sorry, you're on mute. Yeah.
You're muted.
Yes. Now I can hear you. You're very soft right now. Can you try speaking?
We can't hear you.
There's a slight delay in the voice. Oh no. Gail, sorry, there's a slight delay in the voice. We can't hear your voice very clearly. Can we try again? Oh dear, we still can't hear.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Now.
Oh, fabulous. I'm so sorry about that.
No.
I think my microphone went off. I'm so proud of Natalia. I've seen her grown, but all along the way, it's just been so much enthusiasm and love for letter forms, art, creativity in every form, embraced enthusiastically. Natalia is the ideal student. She would go home having done entire books worth of practice, investigated.
Oh, sorry, Gail. I think your microphone went off again. So Can you try speaking again? Oh, okay. Still.
No. Hello.
Okay.
Testing.
Yes.
Yep.
There we go.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Faulty technical equipment. Yes, I'll try and keep it brief. Natalia is the ideal student. She is enthusiastic, inspired, does masses of homework, will explore every avenue of creativity. And I'm so proud of what she has discovered about herself, the vulnerability, the determination that she's had to find these deep parts of herself through the challenge of her health. And it's an honor and a privilege to be part of this creative journey for you, Natalia. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
The calligraphy, mom.
Okay, right at this moment, are there any questions for Natalia about her works, about if you've seen anything and you would like to comment, or if you have any questions, would you like to, you can unmute and you speak, or if you want, you can write in the chat as well. But throughout the chat, Natalia, I just want to let you know that there's a lot of love for your work. You know, like everyone was saying that the way you talk about, like how you speak about certain things, how you show experimentations, and the details and all of those, especially for the Inner Garden book. I think the details are beautiful. You know, you talk about your childhood, you talk about stories, that's beautiful as well. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I'll download the chat so that you can see that later. Yeah.
Okay,
Mm,
perfect. Thank you.
yeah. And for now, if there are no questions, what I'll do is I'll stop the recording and
Perfect.